Before this video gets started, I just wanted to say thank you to all channel members for supporting the channel. It truly means a lot. If you want to become a channel member, hit the link down in the description. Now, let's get on with today's video. Hey, what's going on, guys? Pineapple Sway here. Today I'm bringing you guys a Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League video. If you like what you see, please consider liking and subscribing, as it'll help me out tremendously. And just wanted to say thank you guys so much for 3,000 subscribers. Honestly, that's really cool. Didn't even think I was going to hit 3,000 this fast, but let's talk about what we're going to talk about today, and that is basically my opinion of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League just should have never been made. Although I love this game dearly and I have enjoyed every moment from the good to the bad to the ugly. It's just a game that I just don't think really should have been made, especially looking at how. Now, let me phrase this as specific as possible since I've had people comment it. A live service game that is supposed to be like a story-based game. I know there's Marvel Rivals, which is a successful live service game, and live service games can be done right, but there's just something about a superhero genre game that's story based and live service. When you combine them, they just don't mix. And I don't understand why WB or Rocksteady didn't really learn their lesson when Avengers flopped. Because an IP like Avengers shouldn't have flopped. Avengers should have been a huge success. While Suicide Squad, on the other hand, I kind of understand why the game flopped, because they're just not really popular characters. You take a bunch of D to F tier characters and you put them in the game, it's not the best recipe for success, and then when you put live service on top of that, you're kind of just asking for a failure. While Avengers, seeing how that game failed, that should have been an immediate red flag for Rocksteady and Warner Brothers to just not necessarily completely scrap this project, but abandon all live service elements. Because that was around 2020. I think Avengers came out in, I want to say July, and then Suicide Squad was announced in August at DC Fandom 2020, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong on that though, or Avengers may have came out in 2021. I really don't know. But it's just Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Like what I said, I love this game, but it just should have never been made. It causes more problems than it does good. And especially with the ending and I would say the DLC content that a lot of fans were desperately waiting for that epic return of Batman, for that epic return of Superman. And sure, we did get it, but it was basically a big pile of you know what. Like what I said, I waited and waited for Batman to return, and although I don't blame Rocksteady and I don't blame them for what this game has sadly became, this game is more going to be, I would say, just a joke, or people are going to be like, oh yeah, that game, blah blah blah, and just talk about it for, oh wow, I can't believe Rocksteady actually took a risk to make this game. What were they thinking? And what kind of makes it even worse is the fact that I really feel that this game had a lot of potential and it had a lot of promise, but there was just so much going against it that I just don't understand why WB thought in any shape or form that this could have been a good game. Even Sefton Hill, the former leader at Rocksteady, my bet, in all honesty, if you wanted to expand the Arkhamverse, was to make Superman. That would have been the best bet to continue the series, because you already teased Superman. You teased Lex Luthor at the end of Arkham Knight. Superman was already a legend in Arkham Knight. You could hear even thugs talk about him in the city of Gotham. And it just made sense that, well, the next playing ground that we should be able to go to is Metropolis. And although we did get to go to Metropolis, it wasn't with the characters that we expected. And like what I said, this story, I've enjoyed it. I think it's a lot of fun. And there's definitely a vision that you saw that Rocksteady and Sefton and WB all had planned out. But it just comes back to the fact that it just doesn't really make sense. WB kind of just thought that this game was going to be perfect, knowing that Sefton and Rocksteady previously made 3 of the best games. Obviously, you can debate on all 3 of the Arkham games, but they're all perfect in their own way. Even though Arkham Knight, which I think has a lot of problems, I still think it's a perfect game. And then we have Suicide Squad. WB, for some reason, expected this game to be in a $1 billion game. And I mean, just look at the facts. Look, there was 2 Suicide Squad movies before it that did not do well, and now they think, hey, the next best step is to make a game. Although, like what I said, I like this game. It just should have never been made. Why should it never been made? Well, it's pretty simple. It kind of set back Rocksteady and I would say the superhero gaming industry for years to come, and it's kind of scared people, I feel, to make a risk in the superhero genre, because people see Rocksteady making Suicide Squad and that flopping. Now you see other companies that were making live service projects completely scrap and cancel their projects. Like Spider-Man, Insomniac wanted to make a live service online Spider-Man game, completely canceled. God of War wanted to make a live service game, completely canceled. And I 100% guarantee you it's because they see things like Marvel's Avengers and Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League completely flop. And I feel like it has put a bad rap on the gaming industry. Like what I said, I like this game, I really do, but it has set back the gaming industry more than we could possibly imagine, because now we will never get a risk in the gaming industry, especially when it comes to superheroes. We're just going to be getting the same exact things like Batman and Spider-Man, so on and so forth, over and over and over and over and over and over, and there's nothing we can do about it, because for some reason those are the only things that seem to work. And I don't necessarily blame it, and I don't blame these companies, but there was also just a lot of things that WB and Rocksteady could have done differently to make this game successful. Starting with, if you're going to have such expensive microtransactions in the in-game store, you gotta make it free to play. I mean, look at Marvel Rivals. They had 400,000 players at like their peak, probably even more than that. But the game is free to play. It's hard to justify when you're spending between $70 and $100 on a game, and you're only getting a fourth of the story. And that's the problem with these single player story based games that turn into a live service flop. It's because you're promised one thing but you never get it. Avengers promised all of this story and all of this excitement for fans, and we never even got to see it. I think we got to the Black Panther expansion and then the tease of Maestro and then the Future Threat that just never showed up, and then the company gets shut down. Same thing with Rocksteady. They promised all of this great stuff. They promised 2 to 3 years. I mean, allegedly 2 to 3 years of content, but we only get a third of the game, and then they make it seem like the 13 Brainiac storyline was going to be this crazy thing, and it ends up just being, oh, Brainiac was paranoid of himself, so he cloned himself. So it's just a bunch of stuff. It just doesn't really make sense. It's just... And now we see other projects as well kind of follow the same footsteps of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Transformers Reactivate was supposed to be the next big free-to-play live service looter shooter for the Transformers genre. It got canceled. So it's just many things like that, although I don't necessarily blame Suicide Squad. It's a mixture of Avengers and Suicide Squad, just sort of putting the gaming industry on a hold right now, because companies, I would say, are scared to death to even take a risk anymore because they don't know what will be successful. I mean, they can make a Batman game tomorrow and everyone could hate it. I mean, we really don't know. Yes, granted, I get why no one really liked this game, and same thing with Avengers, but when you look at it from the outside looking in, you're like, man, how did Avengers flop? And same thing with Suicide Squad. How did Suicide Squad flop? You have this company that's been known for making these amazing superhero story-based games, and they just completely screw it up, and you have an IP like Avengers, and that gets completely screwed up. And there's many theories, many reasons to why I think that is, but it all just falls back on they just need to stop making these types of games. They need to stop combining single-player story-based games that are meant to be played by yourself and that are meant to have a beginning and an end, and they need to stop just pressing together live service on top of it, because I can't even imagine. It is unbearable for not only the company but for the consumer that buys the product, because you buy something and then less than a year or two later it gets completely shut down and taken away. Granted, I will give Rocksteady credit where credit is due. They did give us a lot of ways to sort of help with the terrible microtransactions, and they gave us an offline mode, but still, I mean, you pay $100, $70 to $100 for a game, and you kind of just get spoon-fed for an entire year. And like what I said, I've enjoyed this game and I've loved it, but it still just falls back on that this genre of video games needs to stop being made, and this game just should have never been made. I was perfectly fine with Arkham Knight just kind of being the end to the Arkham series, and then they expanded it. And I know what people will say, well, this isn't an expansion to the Arkhamverse. It is. You can go back all the way to the original trailers, to all of the old dev deep dives. This is an expansion to the Arkhamverse, and I don't think they're going to retcon it, and I don't think they plan on retconning it, because they laid their bed, and they just have to, just accept the fact that, hey, we made this game, and it is what it is. Although I do give Rocksteady credit, It does seem like their next game will be back to what they were originally known for, single-player based story games, which is what we need for superhero genres, especially if you're dictating a $70 to $100 price tag. I'm perfectly fine with live service being in video games because it can be done right. We've seen it countless times. But stop trying to copy something that's a little outdated now. And like what I said, I love Marvel Rivals, I really do, but that game's free to play. If it was $100 or between $70 and $100, I definitely wouldn't buy it. And I think people said the same exact thing when Suicide Squad and Marvel's Avengers came out. Man, that game looks cool, but I'm not going to spend $70 to $100 on it because I don't think I'll get my money's worth. And that's been the case with almost every live service superhero game, I would say probably ever since, we've only had a few, especially the ones that are story based, which are only two, which is Marvel's Avengers and Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. And I'm waiting for that third supposed single player story based live service game. It'll probably be Insomniac's X-Men, and I guarantee you that game will flop too. And it will be asking the same exact question 3 to 4 years from now. Why are they still making these crap live service games? Like what I said, hope you guys enjoy this video. I'm not giving any hate to Rocksteady or WB. It's just a matter of we really need to just abandon this genre and sort of use Suicide Squad as a catalyst to just put this behind us. Like, hey, let's stop making these games because, for one, they don't make you money, and two, nobody likes them. Although, in this case, hey, I enjoy Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, but I'll admit a flaw when I see a flaw. Anyways, though, this is Pineapple Sway. Please consider liking and subscribing. I will see you guys next time.